Hey, Martha. Yeah, for the first time today, we're hearing from Governor Phil Murphy, who's responding to parents who think, like you mentioned, 6 and 7 years old is too young to be talking about gender identity, especially in school. He did leave the door open for a possible change. Listen here.
Folks think that they need to be adjusted or altered, and there's a reasonable argument for that. Count me as somebody who's willing to entertain that.
Martha, the parents that we spoke with here in Westfield, New Jersey, are not happy with the pink, blue, and purple lesson plan that you just detailed. They think it will confuse their kids. And more than that, they say communication was lacking.
I just felt like it was taking advantage of their vulnerability.
I think the majority, at least the feedback we're hearing, is that most parents, once they're aware of what's going on, they're not in agreement with some of this.
So, yeah, those parents want to spread the word. Also at today's press conference with the governor, New Jersey Congressman Andy Kim said parents should get involved in their children's education.
Parents have an absolute right to make sure that they have their voices heard, that they're learning about that and getting a sense of that and having that input, which is, what we're trying to do as a state and what we're trying to do as a country.
Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew is already pushing back, drawing up legislation that would require schools to tell parents if they're teaching about gender identity in the classroom. We'll send it back to you, Martha.
All right. Nate Foy in Westfield, thank you. Joe Concha's dad to a kindergartner and a second grader in New Jersey. He's also a media and politics columnist for The Hill, of course, and you know him as a Fox News contributor. Joe, great to have you here. So what's your reaction to this as a parent?
Well, I spoke to parents over the weekend and have spoken to them about this for a couple of weeks now, because this has been an issue in other states. Now it comes to our state, right? And I can't find one parent that supports this. And we live in New Jersey. It's not hard to find people that vote reliably Democratic. Sure. But when they hear about this, that their first graders and second graders are being taught this, while they also know that in terms of education overall, the United States is 25th in the world in math, in science, in reading the basics. And we're taking our eye off the ball for that to concentrate on this. And Governor Murphy didn't bring this up last year. Now, did he, when he was running? Right? Because he could have been another Glenn Youngkin if he did bring it up. Now, only that he's safely over the finish line, now he's saying that this is something to be part of curriculum. But I'm telling you, parents in New Jersey are not going to stand for this. And I hope that somehow Martha McCallum could get Governor Murphy in this seat and ask him about it and explain why this is beneficial.
To Governor Murphy, and I would love for him to come on and talk to us about this, because he seemed open to amending this. And I think one of the important things to talk about here is that everyone understands that for children who are having issues around all of this, right? You want them to be able to talk to their parents. You want them to be able to say something to a counselor at school. And we are not insensitive to that at all. But the problem is what you talked about. Teachers have a mission. They're there to educate children so that they can grow up and be intelligent and smart, and that they have lots of tools and skills. They can read, they can write, they understand science. These are the primary responsibilities of educators, not this, okay? It's not that there isn't a place in school to answer some of these questions, but this is not the priority. But look at what Abigail Schreier wrote about this in her book, Irreversible Damage. And in it, she says, schools no longer see themselves as academic institutions, but places where sexual identity politics is central to all conversations. This isn't conjecture. A program coordinator in Los Angeles Unified School District wrote Schreier, technically we're an educational institution, but we want to be a source of social justice. So, most parents don't want to send their kids to learn social justice at school. They want them to learn to be educated. They want them to be educated.
And if we're going to have a conversation about sex or about gender, I want to have it. My wife wants to have it with our kids. Sure. Teachers don't want to have this conversation. I have two family members that are teachers, and I spoke to them about this as well, and they said they are very uncomfortable with this new measure. And so I have a feeling that you're going to see, for once, teachers pushing back and a Democratic governor saying, yeah, we're not going along with this either. I don't think this ever gets to the finish line. 6, 7-year-olds, can you imagine? So the questions they're coming home with are not, I'm learning to read. What is this word? Let me sound it out with you. It's so they told me that I might feel like this gender, like a girl, but I might be a boy. And this is confusing, obviously, it is.
For young children. But the thing, again, you said that drives me crazy. And this is post-COVID. These kids have been home. They are falling behind, and they're going to not be able to keep up. Look at this. Kindergartners learning to read, on track for learning to read, fell from 55% to 47%. So more than half are not on track to learn how to read. In kindergarten, in first grade, the numbers are basically the same too.
and we're the most advanced country in the world. We put more money into education anywhere in the world. Guess who's number one? We're 25th. China's number one, right?
Of course it is.
So in November, it's going to go from being a red wave to a red tsunami, because not just because of inflation and gas prices and crime and the border, but as we saw in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, we've seen this movie. This is the type of issue that will bring people that normally vote Democrat perhaps over to Republican, or people who never vote to the voting booth because they say enough is enough. More.
Yeah, 100%. And we hear this from parents. And that Wall Street Journal story that I mentioned by Mike Bender points this out. They talked to a lot of Democrats who said, you know what, a lot of the issues that I care about are sort of secondary for me now. Mm-hmm. And I really just want to vote for someone who's going to give me freedom of school choice. This is going to put school choice on fire.
Indeed.
And it's going to be great for Catholic schools and other options and places where kids can go. Are you on the fence about where you're going to send your kids?
We're public school for now.
Yeah.
They do a great job. Our school system actually produced Martha McCallum.
Well, this is true.
And Peter Doocy, for that matter.
That's right.
So I have faith in my school system. I don't have faith in my governor, however, if this is what he's going to bat with.
Yeah, that was a few years ago, though, that I was in that school
15
system.
years
so I
is
think
nothing.
things have changed a little bit. Thank you, Joe.
Great to see you.
Great to see you, as always.